All right, welcome to Unit 7, which is Chapter 8, Section 2, Meeting Nutritional Needs in the First Year. After studying this lesson, you're going to be able to describe how to meet the nutritional needs of children from birth to 6 months, identify advantages of breastfeeding for babies, mothers, and families, explain the process of weaning babies from breast milk and formula, describe how to meet nutritional needs from 6 months to 1 year of age, and give examples of finger foods that are safe for infants to eat. A healthful diet provides the essential nutrients a child needs to grow, explore, and develop in their first year. Meeting a baby's food and nutrition needs quickly relieves hunger. Responding promptly to the baby's need for food teaches the baby his or her needs will be met. Erickson calls this learning a sense of basic trust. Babies go through different stages of the feeding process. For the first 6 months, newborns and infants are completely dependent on breast milk or formula. After 6 months, they may begin eating solid foods from a spoon. By the end of the first year, infants are beginning to self-feed using their fingers. As infants are developing new feeding skills, mealtimes can be frustrating and messy. Remaining calm can help make mealtimes pleasant for infants and their parents. In all situations, parents and other caregivers need to make a priority of meeting their infants' nutritional needs. Nutrition in the first year of life can affect development in all areas later in life. The American Academy of Pediatrics has made recommendations for meeting infants' nutritional needs. So first of all, breastfeeding and formula feeding. Because your babies grow quickly throughout the first year, their nutritional needs are especially important. Baby parents can meet these needs by either breastfeeding or formula feeding. Both methods provide opportunities for parents to bond with their babies as they hold and cuddle them during feeding times. Okay, breastfeeding. In the first 6 months, breast milk meets the baby's nutritional needs. The AAP recommends breastfeeding continue for at least the first 12 months of life. It has its advantages for baby, mother, and family. For example, the advantages of breastfeeding for babies include that breast milk contains the right proportions of proteins, carbs, fats, vitamins, mineral, and water, and it makes it easier to digest than formula, and the baby is exposed to different flavors according to what the mom eats. Mother's immunities to certain diseases are passed to the baby through breast milk. Breast milk is sterile unless it's put in a bottle and is ready immediately. Breastfed babies are usually a healthy weight because the milk content is perfect for the baby's needs and the mother does not overfeed the baby. Vigorous sucking required for breastfeeding satisfies the need for sucking and promotes good development of facial structures and healthier, straighter teeth. And babies rarely choke because they control the flow of milk. And the advantages for moms and families is breastfeeding has health benefits for the mom, such as causing the uterus to contract to original size and helping her bones regain minerals. Breastfeeding can save the family money on formula, bottles, and nipples, and can save time in formula and bottle prep. Breastfeeding is environmentally green. Food is available during emergencies. Breastfeeding women can offer their babies the most nutritional food even while returning to their careers. Mothers who work can pump the milk several times during the day and refrigerate or freeze it. The baby takes the milk in a bottle while the mom is away. Mother and baby develop a warm relationship because of touch and eye contact. Thus, breastfeeding helps with bonding. When the mother pumps breast milk, other family members also have opportunities to bond with the baby. Mothers who breastfeed their babies have higher nutritional needs for some vitamins and minerals. Nursing mothers can help meet their nutritional needs by choosing foods high in vitamins and minerals from each of the food groups: fruits, vegetables, dairy, grains, and proteins. In addition to a healthful diet, doctors may recommend some nursing mothers take a vitamin and mineral supplement to help meet their nutritional needs. Fluid needs also increase while breastfeeding. Mothers need to drink plenty of water to meet these needs and satisfy their thirst. One way nursing mothers can help meet their fluid needs is to drink a glass of water each time they are breastfeeding or pumping their breast milk for use in a bottle. Drinks that contain caffeine or added sugars, like soft drinks or fruit drinks, should be limited or avoided. These substances can affect the mother's milk and the baby. Any over-the-counter drugs mothers take can also pass from the mother's breast milk to the baby. Therefore, nursing mothers should check with a doctor before taking any drugs. For breastfeeding advice, mothers may wish to consult with a doctor, nurse, or a lactation consultant, which is a breastfeeding expert. Many mothers choose breastfeeding, but some cannot breastfeed. Even when mothers can breastfeed, sometimes they choose not to do so. Parents who choose formula feeding may want to consult with a doctor about the type and amount of formula to use. Most formulas are based on cow's milk, but soy formulas are often used for babies who have problems digesting milk-based formulas. When formula feeding, parents should use only commercially prepared store-bought formulas regulated by the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and not homemade formulas or whole cow's milk. Commercially prepared formulas contain specially processed milk products that provide the needed nutrients for the babies. These formulas are processed in a way that make it easier for the baby to digest. Commercially prepared formulas are available in powdered, liquid concentrate, or ready-to-feed forms. Whether breastfed or formula-fed, babies must be burped. Burping rids the body of air swallowed while sucking or crying. To burp a baby, you must do the following things. Place the baby in a sitting position on your lap with a hand on their collarbone and under their chin. You may also lay the baby down on his or her stomach across your lap with the baby's face towards your knees. You may burp a newborn on your shoulder, but this position is easier when the baby is larger. Lightly pat the baby's back once he or she is in position. Pat the baby below the ribs for 2 or 3 minutes unless the baby burps sooner. Burp a baby before, midway, or after feeding. The feeding schedule. Daily feeding schedules depend on baby's unique needs. Doctors suggest newborns feed on demand, and mothers watch for clues of hunger. So newborns are alert, they are mouthing and rooting around, moving their mouths. Newborns nurse about every 2 hours or 8 to 12 times in 24 hours. They breastfeed until they're full, which takes at least 15 minutes per breast. Doctors suggest arousing a sleeping newborn every 3 to 4 hours for feedings. Okay, a daily feeding schedule for the first 6 months. If they're less than 1 month old, you're going to feed them every 2 to 3 hours. If they're 1 to 5 months old, every 3 to 4. If they're 6 months old, you can do up to 6. Okay. Many babies will establish eating patterns as they get older. Some infants prefer smaller, more frequent meals, while others eat more food less often. Even with established eating patterns, they will be hungrier some days more than others. Feeding on demand will help parents address their hunger needs. How much foods they need depend on their size and how fast they are growing. Infants' health, heredity, and level of activity also affect their needs. As infants' growth rates slow towards the end of the first year, their appetites decrease too. Weaning is the gradual process of taking infants off the breast or bottle. Weaning from the breast cannot be sudden or unanticipated for infants or mothers. Abrupt weaning is stressful because they need time to learn a new way to drink. For mothers, it can cause blockage of milk ducts and possible depression. When weaning occurs gradually, both infants and mothers have time to adapt to the change. When to begin weaning depends on the infant's age and whether they are fed breast milk or formula. If weaning from breast milk before 1 year, the AAP recommends giving babies iron-fortified formula for the remainder of the first year. At 1 year of age, doctors suggest switching from iron-fortified formula to whole cow's milk. For formula-fed babies, weaning from a bottle to a cup may begin as early as the child can use the cup and shows interest in doing so. Although this may be as early as 9 months of age, the recommended age to start weaning from the bottle to a cup is 12 months. At this time, whole cow's milk can be given instead of formula. To begin weaning, parents may gradually offer the new liquid, formula or whole milk depending on the age, as part of one feeding. Increase the amount of the new liquid at this feeding until the baby takes an entire feeding by bottle or cup for several days. Wait at least 3 days before replacing another feeding with the bottle or cup. Then apply the same steps to other feeding times. Children are often completely weaned by 18 to 24 months of age. Around 6 months of age, while continuing on breast milk or formula, they may be ready to start eating solid foods from a spoon. Solids for infant feedings are semi-liquid mushy foods like cereal, vegetables, and fruit. Solid foods include commercially prepared baby foods and homemade mashed, pureed, or strained table foods. Doctors recommend a commercially prepared single-grain, iron-fortified cereal as the first solid food that you give a baby. Pureed vegetables should be the next food offered around 6 months of age. To encourage eating vegetables, they should be the first food offered to infants at mealtime. Avoid feeding them hard, round foods and sticky, hard-to-swallow foods because they may cause choking. The AAP advises parents to wait until infants are around 6 months old before starting solids for the following reasons. 1. Babies are not born with the ability to swallow solids. Their jaw and throat muscles have to develop before swallowing is easy and safe. 2, they don't have the needed enzymes, which are special proteins that help aid digestion, or saliva for digesting solid foods before their age is 6 months old. 3, until infants are 16 to 18 weeks old, they have an extrusion reflex where their tongue thrusts forward when it's touched by an object that causes them to push foods out of their mouths. 4, infants do not need more nutrition than breast milk or formula until they reach 13 to 15 pounds, which is about 5 to 6 months of age. And 5, infants may have an increased risk of developing chronic conditions like high blood pressure or obesity later in life if they start solids too soon. Foods that present choking hazards to infants are rounded small foods like carrots, berries, grapes, and raisins, thick-skinned fruits like raw apples unless you peel them, stringy foods like celery or spaghetti, hard candy, nuts and peanut butter, cherries that have pits in them, hot dogs that are sliced in rounds, meat with bones, pretzels, whole kernel cooked corn and popcorn, and soft, sticky foods like large marshmallows, jelly, gummy candies, peanut butter, and other nut butters are all bad for infants. All right, let's talk about spoon feeding now. Like many other skills, eating from a spoon is a developmental milestone that many parents are excited to see their infants achieve. For the first spoon feedings, parents often dilute about 1 teaspoon of single-grain iron-fortified cereal with 2 tablespoons of breast milk or formula. Using breast milk or formula rather than water to dilute their cereal provides more nutrients and offers a familiar taste. To feed an infant with a spoon, you may place a small amount of the diluted food on the tip of the spoon. A few bites of cereal about halfway through breastfeeding or formula feeding times are often enough for the first spoon feedings. Very gradually, you can make the cereal thicker at each spoon feeding as they learn to use their tongues and tolerate the texture. Using a small spoon with a long handle may make spoon feeding easier. Also, a plastic-coated baby spoon is better for their sensitive gums than a metal spoon. During spoon feedings, parents hold the infant in their lap in an almost upright position. Later, they can sit in an infant seat or high chair for spoon feedings. Once they turn their heads and close their mouths during spoon feeding times, you may stop feeding the solids and give babies a sip of 2 or water. Then breastfeeding or bottle feeding can resume, so meals begin and end with the familiar taste of breast milk or formula. When you introduce new solids, doctors recommend offering infants new solids early in the day and no later than early afternoon. Doctors advise this because infants are more apt to have colic in the evening hours. Colic is a condition in which the baby has intense abdominal pain and cries inconsolably. Also, an allergic reaction following a night feeding could occur in the wee hours of the morning rather than during early evening. As cereal and other solids are introduced, infants will need water for proper kidney action. A pediatrician can advise parents how much water to offer each day. When feeding new solids to infants, parents may want to introduce food one at a time in small amounts such as a bite or 2. To see whether foods have any harmful effects on infants, wait at least 5 days before introducing another new food. If they exhibit negative effects after eating a new food, they may have an intolerance to that food. Intolerance is a negative physical reaction that eating a certain food can cause. For example, intolerance to foods may result in them becoming fussy, developing rashes, or having upset stomachs. If their stools are loose, watery, or contain mucus, you should inform their pediatrician. Food intolerance among infants often shows 1 to 4 days after trying a new food. Many pediatricians suggest waiting till after the infant's first birthday before retrying an offending food. If too many foods cause a negative reaction, doctors can test the infant and prescribe a special diet. Near the end of the first year, they often develop the skill of self-feeding themselves finger foods around the same time they develop the pincer grasp. Finger foods aid the infant's growing independence as well as grasping and chewing skills. Examples of foods they can eat using their fingers include bite-sized pieces of toasted bread or bagels, O-shaped toasted oat cereal, cooked and diced vegetables such as carrots or sweet potatoes, small chunks of fruit like bananas, peaches, or pears. As infants begin self-feeding, you may want to choose from the foods they know your infants already tolerate. Eating finger foods is fun, but can also be hazardous because they may choke or gag at the new textures. For this reason, they need supervision when they are eating. Around 8 or 9 months of age, they often let their parents know they are ready to self-feed. For example, they may want to help their parents by grabbing the spoon during a feeding. They may also try to grab food off their parents' plates. Giving them a spoon to hold or letting them use the spoon on the last few bites is good practice for later self-feeding. Alright, so now that you know about that, how would you suggest a new parent introduce solids to a child? In your answer, you should think about the time frame, the types of foods, the spoon feeding and self-feeding, and other issues that may occur. All right, guys, that is the end of uh, Unit 7, Section 2. Thanks.